All right, boys. Well, a bit of a what I've learned type fucking vidya. It's kind of cold in the shop, so I'm bundled. Uh, so I'm about like a year and a half into owning the business, and we're up to like 16 employees now, or 17 employees now, and I hired 2 guys last week. Got 2 more new guys starting Monday, and you know. I said before earlier on that this, like when I first started this shit, that it was surprisingly less stressful than it was than my other job was. But now that's definitely not the case. It's definitely way more stressful. But like I don't know, it's significantly more rewarding. But I'll tell you the part that is cool is like how much I've really, really learned about the world that like I didn't know before. Like so much of the world, like what I thought I knew was just in theory. You know what I mean? Like I didn't really understand how the sausage was made. But after like owning a business and bringing something to the market successfully and selling it, at a high margin to make profits and enrich employees, I have learned so fucking much. I've always been real bookish. I've always been like real like I'm like the greatest guy in the world to play trivia with because I fucking remember everything, and like I've learned so much, and I've like anytime there's something I don't know, I want to learn about it, and I've always been like that. Like I got in trouble so much as a kid. I missed recess so much. Like I had to like in school I was always in trouble, and I'd have to like sit in the library during recess because I was in trouble, and I'd read the fucking encyclopedia, and like I actually like loved it. Like I loved it, and everything I learned my whole life just gets shit on by the year and a half that I've owned this business. I mean, completely shit on. And like there's so many, like I was talking to somebody really close to me earlier, and just hearing people like the way they think about money is like it's so incorrect. Like it's so incorrect. And like I was like that. Like before I started this business, right? My wife and I started it in July of 2023, and my wife and I were debating as to, well, we should probably wait until after the year starts so that way you can get your Christmas bonus from my job. My Christmas bonus was like $3,000. You know what I mean? And to us at that point in time, $3,000 was like, we can't miss this $3,000. But like now that I understand like the opportunity cost, it's like, and I mean, I told my wife before where I was like, I really think that $3,000 ain't gonna mean shit to us by the time we come to, and fucking A, was I right? You know what I mean? It literally, by the time that December came around, it's like, imagine if we would have waited, and not started this to get that $3,000 Christmas bonus. She was like, oh yeah, you're fuck. It would have been, but like, you don't realize that until you own the business. And so, I don't really know what I'm trying to get at here with this video. But it's that there's way more opportunity out there than you realize, and a little bit of money for a long time is a really actually a big loss that you don't realize. You know what I mean? Like imagine if I would have not started my business in July and waited until 2024 rolled around. Like, imagine all the customers I got right now, I got those customers in 2023 before 2024 started. Like I started building those relationships. Maybe they wouldn't have been there, And so like in that time frame, I know that like I made in 2023 like a fuckload of money. Like I made way more money in July to December personally, like what I had to pay taxes on, than what I made all of fucking 2022. Like like a lot more in 6 months. So I don't know. It's just, I guess the point of this video is to say that like don't underestimate like what you can really fucking do. You know what I mean? Don't get hung up on some small fucking, like it's like the welfare trap to a degree, right? It's very similar to the welfare trap. It's like if I go get this job at Walmart, I end up losing these benefits. So it's like going to get this shitty job is a net loss to somebody, right? Who's on like some sort of benefits potentially, and so they don't want to go get that shitty job that's going to make their life worse. They're going to have less money and have to have a shit job. But that's because they're not viewing like the actual opportunity. Because this is what happened to me. Okay, so I talked about this in the live the other day, but like I always treated plumbing like like a little way to make cash on the side. It wasn't like I had no interest in being a fucking plumber. Even though I started doing it really, I had no fucking interest in being. I wouldn't even talk to people about plumbing, even though I fucking knew all about it. I had no interest in it. And I would plumb on, like, once I got to be like 19, 20, I would only plumb on the weekends for different people and kind of here and there. And I was really trying to make my money by like waiting tables and bartending and playing music and shit. Like, what, made $0 playing music, boys. Pretty sure I made $0. But whenever I got into plumbing, I got into it at $10 an hour. Well, I say into it. Whenever I committed to do it full time and not just be like a laborer on the weekends anymore, you know, it was $10 an hour. And at the time, I could go bartend and make $300 in a night, you know, or I could easily go make like $600, $700 in a week, bartending and waiting tables and like still partying every night, chasing pussy. And so it was like this big, like, I think a lot of people would be like, why would you want to go dig ditches and break concrete for $10 an hour when you could already make way more than that right now with a less shitty job? But I knew I was going to start this business. I knew, like I talked about it. I set me and my wife were talking about what I wanted to do because we moved back from Kansas City, and that's a whole fucking story. And I was like, all right, I'm 23. I need to decide what I want to do. And her family owned a plumbing company. And that's kind of how I met her, was through the plumbing shit. And I was like, you know, fuck it. I was like, and I told her, I was like, I'm kind of fucking smart, and no one's gonna outwork me. I was like, that's the one thing we know I got. It's like no one can outwork me, and I'm probably smarter than most of the guys there too. And I was like, so if I stick this out, I can fucking start a business, and get where I'm at right now. You know, I saw it right then and there, and I stuck with it. And thank God I saw that, because I didn't actually see that opportunity cost of time and money yet, but I did, but I didn't realize what it was. So, I don't know, swing for the fences responsibly?